Hey guys, GHAZZY TV here with another Path of Exile 2 video, and in this one I wanted to talk about leveling with a witch, in this case an Infernalist. I have gone so far that I just finished Act 2 Cruel, not Act 3, because I'm going to be playing as a Detonate Dead build next. So I'm going to make a caster build, because I'm kind of done with minions for a while now. So that's what I'm going to be doing, but a lot of people are asking how to level effectively as a minion build, so I wanted to talk about how I've done it and what I deem to be a very comfortable way to do it. There are multiple ways of leveling, such as utilizing the Corpse Wave unique boots and running something like a cast on minion death, Detonate Dead setup as well, which is pretty cool to do. Might dwell into that a little bit, as Detonate Dead can be used on your minions when you use a Sacrifice gem, which is requiring level 58. But I'm going to talk about the uniques I've been using and how I set this up in the early stage. And first and foremost, what I think I would recommend for anyone who wants to level a witch in a very comfortable minion playstyle would be to run the SRS, they're called Radiant Spirits in PoE 2, as well as Arsonist minions. And the way you do this is basically using chaos-oriented skills in the form of Contagion. You can use them on Earth, and later you can Essence Drain. They help very much till you get to that Frey Thorn in Act 1. Which is found in the next to the hunting grounds. It's over here, hunting grounds, over to Freythorn. This is where you get the King of the Mist that gives you plus 30 spirit, but that's where you get your first spirit gem, unless you have it from another character, of course, and you're doing this as your second character, or, you know, more, fourth, fifth, whatever you're on, right? That gets you the SRS, and at that point, you want to start using Flamewall. We have right here, so use Flamewall to summon the SRS minions or the Radiant Spirits. And that's basically where all your damage is coming from. Then you want to add Arsonist to get to this, which you want to have with Scatter Shot, and then run Martial Tempo. If you get another socket, that throw in Heft. Flame Wall, I would run Arcane Tempo and Fortress personally. And for the Radiant Spirits, Feeding Frenzy, Primal Armaments, or Fire Infusion is actually better. So Fire Infusion and then Primal Armaments is what I've been running. Just having 3 links, I didn't want to put more currency into the leveling of this. But most important when it comes to leveling uniques, there's a couple things you should be looking out for. First and foremost is the most important one is Enfolding Dawn. It gets you a little bit of rest, but it gets you 100 extra spirit early on, which helps a lot for damage output. It does remove the mana gain from intelligence, so you will have some mana issues. And with mana issues, I mean, basically just use your mana flask and you're done. That's about it. It's a very good amount of a big chunk of spirits to help you level early on. The same thing goes for Oaksworn Shield, for additional extra spirit. So those are the main pieces for minion leveling. Outside of that, you could use things like Wanderlust boots for some extra movement speed. You could even go as far as to go for, if I can find it here somewhere, something like the Gold Rim helmet, which helps a lot for resistances in general. Not really that important, to be fair. I don't feel like the defensive gain of resistances is that important in the early stage of leveling. So I feel like Gold Rim in PoE 1 is very strong, whereas in PoE 2 it's not that needed. I'd rather try to find any type of helmet that gets you plus level of minions, +2 preferably. Once you get this, your minions damage gonna skyrocket and do really, really well. I was lucky to find myself an amulet that has a good chunk of HP, but most importantly, level of minions. So what I would do early on is just focus on gear that gets me attributes, life, and level of minions, and preferably in that order. And I would prioritize level of minions on the amulet over spirits, just so that's clear. Because I can get the spirit from Enfolding Dawn as well as Oaksworn. These cost like 1 exalted each. They're very, very effective. The other thing I would want to prioritize when leveling is actually the Scepter to be preferably rattling. But most importantly is level of minions. I only have +2 here, but I mean, bosses are dying in a few seconds. I'm never having any issues. It's really, really comfortable to play with this. So again, just level of minions across the board. The best focus on that is the important part here, on as many pieces as you can, such as your weapon, your helmet, and your amulet, and then having the Oaksworn Enfolding. That's kind of like the bread and butter style of this. There's a couple other things you can do, like I tend to use Midnight Break because I have them in my stash for a little bit of rest, but also some extra mana recovery due to Enfolding Dawn when I was leveling. But you don't have to buy this, to be fair. Just a rare belt with life and resistances is normally actually a better performance for you. Gloves, it really doesn't matter. I think that any type of gloves that gets you a little bit of life, but most importantly, attributes, is very attractive. What you can do is something I've tried out lately, is actually remove the high movement speed boots and just use something like Corpse Wade. You can have a lower level version of Corpse Wade. In this case, I have level 6 Decomposed, which is allowing me to use these pair of boots already from level 18. What Decompose is doing is actually allowing us to essentially pop corpses that we kill. So we encounter a big chunk of enemies. One of the enemies dies, the corpse wave will pop the decompose automatically and immediately pop chaos damage through poison. But if you have flame walls or your doggy from the Infernalist in Ascendancy that will ignite enemies, that will explode this and do a ton of extra damage. It's really, really effective, even though you're a little slower. And I'm running comorbidity in here together with corrosion to pop as much explosion damage and armor break as possible, which increases the damage of my SRS as well as the Arsonist. It's been a very effective way to level like that. I don't really have anything else to add in terms of support gems that I've been running. It's just been super comfortable, and I'm running Pain Offering for buffing the minions, of course, and a Flammability. And it's just been walking through the content very, very effectively as a result of this. So what I will say, though, is in Act 1, like I mentioned earlier, you want to start in this part of the game. You're going to run the Contagion SS Drain. Once you get to the point of you picking up Thorn to get that Raging Spirit gem, you want to run that together with the Flame Wall instead. And that's kind of like the bread and butter. That's your focus. Make sure you level both of those gems up and get your Arsonist up and actually put those spirits to use through the use of these two uniques. And after that, you just want to steamroll the entire game with it. It's super comfortable. Skill tree wise, now I try to start my process into the Detonate Dead build, which I'll be changing my build over to right now. But I will say that you start off with these early minion damage nodes, go straight up here, pick these nodes up, and then grab the Living Death simply for the revive timer. So when you outrun them or they die, they revive faster. And then I would make my way over to the right-hand side for Gravedigger, yet again because of the revive. But here's where it gets a little tricky when you're leveling, because at this point, you're going to need attributes to fix your leveling of your gems. Mostly, this is going to be in the form of needing 2 or 3 dexterity nodes. As you can see, I have 2 here and another third one down here. I have a little bit of strength here, 3 strength nodes. So what I would normally do is that if I see that, oh, next level of gems, I'm about to pick it up, well, it's going to require more intelligence. Instead of continuing these nodes, I would just start the travel node here on the left to start picking up the attributes I need unless gear is covering this. And then every time I don't need an attribute, then I would fill these nodes in. And once I'm done with this, I would then start with grabbing the rest as dead. But again, anytime I needed attributes, I would continue doing the travel nodes instead to pick those up. And once you get this cluster done, you want to pick up the Lord of Horrors. But again, anytime you need attributes, I would just start any type of traveling nodes for whatever build I'm playing or whatever build guide I'm following. Just grab those extra attribute nodes for the simple fact that I needed those to cover the gem usages. So that's basically how I decided to go. I also picked these intelligence nodes up so I could have more intelligence so that I can keep leveling my gems up. As you can see here, I can pick the Arsonist now if I want to. So that's basically how you should think about the traveling of the train, your attributes in general. So now I have happened to get 16 plus all attributes rather recently on an amulet, which obviously helped a lot in terms of sorting my attribute requirements. But that's about it. Don't really have much else to add other than that this has been really comfortable to use with the Corpse Wade. They're just really, really, really OP, let's be real. You put a flame wall down or you have your doggy with the ignitions. These, as soon as one enemy dies in a pack, the rest of the enemies will just fall over after that. So like a quick recap, I think that Enfolding Dawn, super important. I believe it costs about an Exalted. Yeah, I mean, it's just 1x for basically the easiest extra experience for you to get more minions out. Next up, Oaksworn, use this for extra spirits. And after that, it's just extra level of your minions on your weapon. And then if you can find that on your helmet and amulet, that's perfectly fine as well. And then Corpse Wade, they exist in different levels. So in this case, you can see here that this is a level 74 requirement. This is a higher level decompose. This one is 71, 76. So you can find these for pretty low level. Being able to have a much more effective way to use these at super early levels. Now, obviously, I'm level 58, so I could change these for a higher pair if I wanted to. I'm not going to, since I'm changing the build and minions, you're just demolishing everything. But that's kind of been my experience of leveling through the campaign. And a build like this is just a standard, generic, classical SRS Arsonist build. Obviously, my tree is a little scuffed because I'm currently moving over to picking nodes up like this for the Detonate Dead I'll be playing. But I've been having a good success with this build and hope you guys will as well. But that's the recommendations I have for leveling with Witch. I'm not sure if this is the best, but it's the one that's worked the best for me at least. And that's about it. I'm going to stop yapping and tell you to hit the like button, subscribe for more content, and I will catch you guys in the next one. So till then, stay safe, keep rocking.